this goes out to all the Trump voters. I need you guys to bring that energy that you've been bringing to school board meetings and all of your Second Amendment talk. I need you guys to start bringing that to these kinds of meetings. Take a look at this, because I mentioned, like, you know, how familiar this, like, I mentioned how familiar all of the impacts of the drilling has on that community. Tell me how familiar that sounds to this sort of stuff.
Got a neighbor, and right now he's puking blood because he works right there in the main part of it.
People are going back to work because they have to.
They need that money. Not like these big boys in Norfolk. They're sitting behind a desk or sitting at home, kicking back in their chair, enjoying themselves. Because they got the money coming in. Do they care about us? No, they don't even care about their own employees.
Sometimes a disaster is so overwhelming that it shocks people out of their political corners and brings really big problems into focus. That's what it's like in East Palestine. I grew up in this county. I live 2 counties south on Route 7. The last time I was in East Palestine was for the Sweethearts Dance in 2007. I came back to find out what happened when a nearly 2-mile-long Norfolk Southern train carrying hazardous chemicals derailed and was detonated in spectacular.
It's kind of wild to me. I actually knew a few. There was somebody at my job who didn't even hear about this. It was like I was like shocked. Like they had like mentioned. I don't remember what we were talking about. I think we were talking about like Chernobyl or something like that. We were talking about something like pretty innocuous. And then I was like, well, yeah. Did you like see what happened in Ohio? And this was like last week. I talked to him about this, and he was like, what the hell happened to Ohio? I was like, dude, like, have you not seen any of the pictures of the, I showed him. He was like, holy shit. Like, it's kind of wild. Some people haven't heard about this stuff.
We've been here for over a week. We've seen national figures and camera crews come and go, but what gets lost in so much of that coverage is that the people here still have a ton of unanswered questions. How safe is the air and water really? Who, if anyone, has the juice to square up with a $55 billion company that treats disasters as the cost of doing business? And will anyone step up to lead this time?
Do I have to wait until I have cancer or my kids are sick before you guys are going to do anything?
And keep in mind, that's like, if the government isn't going to come in and be like, nope, you're going to help these people, you're going to pay for all this shit. If the government doesn't do that, then they have no legal obligation to do so. Everything they're doing right now, which is almost nothing, is charity.
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah. Care to do an interview?
Yeah, I'll do one. My name is Luke Lavin. I live a couple blocks from here on Alice Street. We're in East Palestine, pretty much right ground zero for where the train derailed. Friday night, my wife and I were playing Call of Duty, and we heard some banging around, and we didn't know what the heck it was, so we paused it. You know, we come out here, and it was a spectacle, really. I kept telling my wife, "Oh my God, this is big. This is bigger than we're gonna even ever imagine."
The train derailed on the edge of town late at night on February 3rd. 5 cars were carrying toxic vinyl chloride. Left alone, the damaged cars would have gone off like a bomb. So officials on the scene did what's being called a controlled release. A mushroom cloud of toxic chemicals filled the sky, stretching out for miles.
It was like hundreds of miles.
I'm gonna say, you couldn't, Rick and Morty, nice. You couldn't fucking pay me, dude. If I was living in that fucking community, my ass would have been gone. I'd have fucking moonwalked my ass out of the minute I saw that mushroom cloud.
Like, that shit was out there, and I was just silent for a moment. That feeling.
Granted,
you know,
most of those people, they don't. Where the fuck are they gonna go? Where are they gonna go? Their second homes?
With this?
Lucky they have the first one.
2 days later, government and company-sponsored tests declared the air and water safe.
Hate all of these
and
houses.
a mandatory evacuation order for residents in a 1-mile radius of the derailment
they still
was
deserve
lifted.
their houses.
Minutes later, the trains were back on the tracks. And in the days and weeks since, residents have gotten very few answers to their many questions. So Luke, walk us through what communication has been like of really important information after this derailment.
I'm gonna give you the shortest answer possible. There isn't any. I mean, really, from Norfolk anyways. You're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and they can't even give you the answers to some simple questions that even a little bit of research on Google can give you.
They're not.
Here's the question, my man. Why would they? Who the fuck are you to demand questions from a corporation? That's how they feel, by the way.
Talking, they're trying to protect themselves, so.
Yep.
I mean, but they need to at least let us know what's going on, you know.
Norfolk
No,
Southern
they
has
don't,
been carrying
unless the
out
government
most of the
forces
major
them.
operations since the disaster, hiring contractors for the cleanup, the testing, everything.
When they did the test, I was actually crying as the team walked through my house because I said, there's no way in hell I'm the only one smelling this right now.
I noticed the smell right away. I can smell a cleaner smell.
They said they didn't smell anything at all.
So you've had a test at your home. Who did that test?
That was CTEC. That was the Center for Toxicology and Environmental Health, the company that Norfolk.
Oh, I've heard of these guys. I don't know if they're gonna. Hopefully they'll say it, but I want to say it before them because it's my stream. CTEC is a private company that was hired as a third party to do tests on behalf of Norfolk Southern. So understand that whenever they do readings, like if they come in, they do they do an analysis of this woman's house. They have it is in their best interest to give the results that are best, not for this homeowner, for Norfolk Southern. Norfolk Southern benefits the most if they can show test results that say the derailment of those 5 cars caused no material damage, right? So naturally, they hire a third party who, again, are getting paid by Norfolk Southern to give them, if not like explicitly give them the results, but at the very least, like, you know, if you want to be on the good side of the company that just hired you, you're going to give them the results they want to have. This is the problem with a lack of government regulation, and specifically a disinterest in the regulatory body of the federal government and state governments for that matter. But we're specifically talking about the federal government in this case.
Contracted with.
It turns out the initial testing used to justify the claim that East Palestine's water supply was secure was conducted by a third-party contractor hired by
Patriot,
Norfolk
what are you
Southern
even talking
in a way that
about?
didn't comply with the EPA's own testing standards. It begs the question of why the company that caused this disaster
I'm assuming
was
you
ever
just like come
charged
into
with handling
random
the response in the first place.
random
Why
streams
the fuck would
and
you
like
let Norfolk do that?
spout
Like,
off
why would you let them
nonsense.
clean up their own mess? They have every reason to just cover it up.
This is the only thing that I've received from Norfolk so far. This is just a little pamphlet just telling us about what they've done. 3,150 cubic yards of contaminated soil and 942,000 gallons of contaminated water. And that's been the narrative since this started was, guys, it's okay, you know, we've got this, we're cleaning it up.
We've made a lot of progress on environmental remediation.
Fucking like anybody who's played like Resident Evil immediately understands you don't let Umbrella fucking tell you the test results to how much damage Umbrella has caused. It's fairly obvious when you abstract it a bit.
Remediation. We've dug up 4,600 cubic yards of soil and collected 1.7 million gallons of water.
We got the wildlife officers out there every day checking our creeks. Everything's dead. Nothing comes around. We used to have birds. We used to have all kinds of stuff.
Is it the water that's bothering her, or is it something else? She's not manufacturing. She's sick. I've had her at the emergency room 3 times.
I'm being exposed to something in my house. The doctor diagnosed me with contact dermatitis due to chemical exposure.
I try to walk like 3 feet into my house.
Yeah, and they're not letting the doctors go in and fucking like assess this person's house. Like, where do you think she got that from? Especially since a lot of people are like talking about having these issues.
They think they can just throw a bunch of science words around and then just expect us not to question it.
I just really like to know what exactly they're doing at this point. In Norfolk, personally, I'd like to know why people are getting sick with CDC symptoms and why they're just not taking that seriously. I mean, they match the symptoms identically, and they're just still like, oh, those are unrelated.
So we are in the press box of the East Palestine High School auditorium. The last of a 3-day event with national political figures coming through here. The first being Trump, the second being Pete Buttigieg, and now Aaron Brockovich.
Imagine getting beat to the fucking scene by Trump if you're Pete fucking Buttigieg. These fucking like these fucking libs, I swear to fucking God. And you know they don't give a shit, because this community, I saw like a Trump sign in front of somebody's house in one of like the frames where they were just filming the neighborhoods. So you like you know they don't give a shit, because they're like right, Trump supporting town, who gives a fuck? Which is something like you're the president of the United States. You're like everybody, like I don't give a fuck who these people voted for. Nobody deserves to get fucking poisoned by fucking corporations. Fucking corpos.
How many communities feel that these moments are the biggest gaslight of their life because you experienced it, you have symptoms, but you're going to be told it's safe. You're going to be told not to worry. Well, that's just rubbish.
This is all happening as the Environmental Protection Agency takes over the next phase of the cleanup process. In practice, that means that Norfolk is still leading the day-to-day operations, while the EPA monitors their progress. But the EPA plans to use its powers to force Norfolk to foot the entire bill for the cleanup. And if the company fails to finish the job, the EPA will do it themselves and invoice Norfolk for 3 times the original cost.
I want you all to know that we are holding Norfolk Southern.
Once again, like, why wouldn't you find them? Fucking, like, find them. Something. And at the end of the day, you guys need to be doing these tests. Like,
accountable.
The damage to like the people, like after
EPA
the
has
cleanup,
a spotty
the
track
cleanup will
record of
happen.
showing up, rushing to say everything's fine, then leaving people without the support
by the end of
they really
2023.
need. We saw it in
But
Flint,
like the
and we're
effects
already
might
seeing
not
some
be
signs
felt
that it might be
until
happening
until
Recently,
like
the
2030.
EPA said that their own testing shared that the air and water near the crash was completely safe. But Texas A&M researchers, using the same data, found elevated levels of 9 pollutants that could be linked to serious long-term health risks. For residents, all of this can feel like a repeat of how Norfolk Southern has been handling the response in the last few weeks.
Best thing you can do is fucking buy cases of water.
Entire
Just never use.
Me. I just don't know. I hope the EPA can make it right, but I did.
Then again, you can't fucking shower with bottles of water either, so like even then you're kind of fucked.
They just didn't know.
Which I think they should have just been blatantly honest with us, you know?
Why?
They should have just come right out.
They're a corporation, why would
and
they?
said, hey man, this could be a while. You know, hold on because you don't know what's gonna happen.
And that's the uncomfortable truth.
That company's like, oh, cool, go fuck yourself. We're a corpo. We don't give a fuck.
No one really knows what the long-term health effects of all of this will be.
When you burn vinyl chloride, it forms dioxins, which are itself their own very hazardous form of chemical and are very, very persistent over long periods of time.
That's Emily Jeffers. She's a senior attorney at the Center for Biological Diversity. We asked her about the EPA stepping in and what they can realistically promise residents.
What are the full costs and how long will it take us to know what they really are?
That's a good question because no one knows. It's going to be years and years and years before we really understand the full costs. A lot of these cancers don't manifest themselves right away, so the harm.
And keep in mind, anybody who develops cancer from this, like Norfolk Southern is going to do their damnedest to not like pay for these people's treatment.
They owe us 5-10 years from now when things are going on.
I just don't know how these people can't have any type of like sympathy.
Capitalism.
Bust out the checkbook, man, and start paying people to clean this shit up the right way.
Not gonna happen.
East Palestine residents have...
It's capitalism. It's not gonna happen. At the end of the day, profits are the profit margins. All that matters. Your health, at the very most, is a negative line item that they've already attributed for in their assessments.
Have already taken it upon themselves to file multiple lawsuits against the company. But Norfolk Southern is counting on the cost of this cleanup to barely impact their bottom line. The thing is, they actually plan for catastrophes like this, and if they're lucky, they can even profit from them.
911, where's your emergency?
Yes, ma'am, a train derailment in Graniteville.
Train derailment?
Yes, ma'am, there's something blowing off all over the town down here.
In 2005, Norfolk Southern fought accountability for a similar disaster that they caused in South Carolina.
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? What is this? Is this a fucking scene from fucking Chernobyl? Is this a fucking scene from a Godzilla movie I haven't seen? What the fuck do you call this? The idea that this has happened already and they weren't nationalized. It's fucking insane.
Carolina, which killed 9 people and led to the hospitalization of over 500.
What? Wait. You're telling me this company killed 9 people with their derailment and Jesus fucking Christ. Like I shouldn't really be shocked, and I'm only halfway shocked, but the idea that a corporation would directly kill 9 people through their the way that they've chosen to run their rail systems, their trains, the idea that 9 lives aren't worth nationalizing and just the government taking control of this company and being like, nope, you just killed 9 people. Nope, that's it. That's it. You're about 8 people over the limit that we allow corporations to kill before we take them over. Like, that's actually insane. It's fucking nuts.
The company was ultimately forced to pay $4 million in fines to the federal government and over $10 million in settlements. A far cry from what was needed to cover the actual harm
14 million
on that community. But now investors on Wall Street...
keep in mind, it cost them $14 million to kill 9 people and injure whatever what did they say earlier? Whatever number that was earlier. Like, it cost them $14 million, right? How much do you think they made? And how much do you think they assessed that they were like, okay, it's going to cost us $14 million, but we'll make $114 million. So, we walk away with $100 million in profit. So it's okay.
Are pointed to this example as a reason why Norfolk Southern's value is unlikely to be impacted by the disaster in East Palestine, and why now might actually be a great time to buy Norfolk Southern stock. It's important to remember, this isn't some huge conspiracy. For companies like Norfolk Southern, destroying an entire town like this is just the cost of doing business.
This company that's owned by J.P. Morgan, Vanguard, and BlackRock. Alan Shaw's a pawn. He's a pawn. He makes $8 million a year. Yeah. $8 million a year. He lives in an 8,000-foot square mansion.
Keep in mind, that dude probably makes $8 million a year on salary while getting stock options. His stock options are probably puts him well over $8 million a year.
He doesn't care about the people.
I'm angry. I'm angry about this. I've lived in East Palestine for 65 years now. That's my home. I don't feel safe.
He lost his hair.
Now. You took it away from me. You took us away from us.
Do you look me
not doesn't even flinch. Doesn't even flinch.
I can't touch you with anything other than my heart. And listen to me, please.
I gotta be honest. Here. This goes out to all the Trump voters. I need you to bring the I need you guys to bring that energy that you've been bringing to school board meetings and all of your Second Amendment talk. I need you guys to start bringing that to these kinds of meetings. In what world? There are people who are concerned about the indoctrination of gender ideology in their kids, and they come busting into these school board meetings let's be honest, low-key armed and ready to attack. But then this happens, it's a fucking corporation, and they're like, I can only touch you with my heart. Nah, bro, what the fuck is this? Touch them with that 45 ACP you always talk about. I need them to bring that. I need y'all to bring that kind of fucking energy. For fuck's sake. At least put it to some good use for once.
My children, wow. It's not safe here, sir. We're sick. You breathe. You are no different than any other man. I want to be as close to you as I can, sir. If you want our trust, I'm begging you.
He doesn't care about your trust,
by the grace of God, please get our people out of here.
And will it happen? Fuck no.
This area, the one that I grew up in, has been dealing with polluting industry for a long time. There's a picture from 1981 of a person in a hazmat costume protesting the construction of the nation's largest hazardous waste incinerator. That person is my mom, and the incinerator is just down the road from where the train derailed in East Palestine.
Jeez.
Contaminants from this disaster are being burned off there right now. Heavy polluters have always been in Columbiana County, and for the longest time, it felt almost impossible to speak out against them.
And you know why that is, right? Like the reason why all of the the waste burners, all the rest of that stuff, there's a reason why they're all in these rural communities. And it's because these rural communities are run by fucking mayors, by fucking state legislators, by fucking state senators. Like they're run by all these small government like Republican representatives and sometimes Democrats, I'm sure, absolutely. But all these bought off, campaign funded politicians who don't give a flying fuck about these citizens of these small towns, of these small communities. Keep in mind, these people get this shit put in their neighborhoods, put right outside of their towns, not because they couldn't go anywhere else, because they want them there. Like these communities, these companies give so little shit about these people's well-being, quality of life, quality of job opportunity, that they go and put all these harmful, wasteful, dangerous workplaces, these dangerous factories. They let these fucking derailments happen in these neighborhoods, and nobody fucking blinks an eye in the Ohio government and the federal government, because they're all taking campaign fucking donations, because they all get money from industries in that community. But unfortunately, because most of them has had their money extracted through the through the Walmartification of their communities, there's no more small businesses. And now that small businesses basically can't compete with large corporations, yeah, like, you know, when fucking Joe Ohio wants to get fucking elected, he's not worried about about 13 small businesses in the town of East Palestine. He's worried about WTI. He's worried about Norfolk Southern, who rides their trains through that neighborhood. He's worried about them, who send him thousands upon hundreds of thousands, possibly millions, depending on the race, of dollars to fund his campaign, win his seat. He gets his wage from having that seat. You know, he's taken care of for life. He just hangs out. You know, he passes laws every once in a while. People complain to him every once in a while. But, you know, at the end of the day, if anybody ever stepped up and challenged him, like we saw in West Virginia, what's her name, who challenged Joe Manchin, they're just going to overwhelm them with money. They'll just go back to those donors, back to WTI, back to Norfolk Southern, say, "Hey, Chief, I need a few extra dollars to win this primary, this general election. And if you do so, then I'll continue to look the other way when you pollute my citizens' water, my citizens' air. Because guess what? I'm the fucking mayor. I don't even live in this fucking town. I live I live in fucking Eagleton or whatever the fuck. Like that's the relationship. That's how we got here." Utter corruption. Utter fucking corruption.
This time feels different.
I think it brought attention to a lot of people, especially in Sleepy Little East Palestine, that never really questioned a lot of things that big things like that. Because I mean, it is a big thing. You think politics don't involve you until they directly involve you.
Yeah.
The Norfolk Southern disaster was big enough to shock people out of their political corners and raise questions about how business is done. How do you measure profits and stock prices against the value of people's lives, against clean air, clean water, and soil?
You have to fundamentally restructure the system.
Can politicians really take money from corporations and be expected to hold them accountable? And who is the government for, anyway?
There's so much we have to do in this country.
Into the void. It really, really, truly does. I wish.
Because you are.
It wasn't up to us to have to do everything ourselves. I just want to go back to a normal life and do the stuff I want to do, not just try to figure out how to avoid this chemical apocalypse right now.
We might not have the Palestine that everybody wants, but I think it's definitely a possibility for us to at least be safe somewhere. With everybody's voice and a continuous cry from the community, it's not too late.
It takes
a
lot to go toe-to-toe with a $55 billion company, and I think that company is counting on people to return back to normal and to not speak up about it and kind of let whatever happens to their town happen to their town. But those people are clearly set on taking a different path. And I wish them all the luck in the world, which they will need. Norfolk Southern can get that.
Jesus. Imagine needing all the luck in the world to get reparations for your air and your water being poisoned by a corporation that's worth $55 billion. And imagine you need all the luck in the world for that. Even though it sounds rather obvious, it's like, well, they got $55 billion. I think they can afford the medical bills of this small town in Ohio. But they won't do it. They won't do it. You know, heart goes out to that community, and I hope they succeed. But I will be very honest when I say I don't foresee them succeeding, very well in that regard. You know the thing that they tell, like at the end of all YouTube videos where they tell you to like click on one of these like things to watch more videos. Yeah, I've been meaning to film one of those. So that's what I was doing. I was just setting it up to film one.